Starting with the spicy.
I was insulting Aaron King's ranch water and getting an earful for it. But this is plus one EXP. I don't even know what. That's not how I start this at all. Welcome. How do I start these things? This is the first time I've ever not been able to do this.
We're a funny little brand.
You're pretty close. Let's see how far you can get.
Beards and ranch water.
Alchemy, Bardic School of Content Creation.
Welcome to Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. My name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, and we're a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love, and help amazing designers find great players who love their games. We do that in a lot of different ways, but hands down, my favorite one, I think the most enjoyable one by far, is sitting down with that designer and getting a chance to play their game. Today, we are playing MouthBrood with Amanda Lee Franck. Amanda, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and a little bit about MouthBrood?
So yeah, I'm Amanda. I illustrate and I write games. I think, and if you can hear that, that's the L going by. I'm in Chicago. It might happen every so often. I think probably what everyone knows is the game I made a few, like 2 zine quests ago that's called You Got a Job on the Garbage Barge. Aaron, who's here, wrote a bunch of stuff for it. It's a game about garbage. But this game is not about garbage. It's about how terrifying the natural world is. And all of the terrible things that could happen to you if you are unwise enough as to try to understand it.
Awesome. I am super excited. We're also going to be giving away, and I'll open this up in just a little bit, a copy of this with a special inscription from Amanda inside also too. But we'll open up that giveaway in just a little bit. Before we do that, let's meet some of our other players. Because they were already mentioned, let's kick it over to Aaron King. Aaron, tell people who you are, what you do, and where people can find you online.
I'm Aaron King. You can find me at AaronMFKing on Twitter. You can find links to all my games and stuff there. Also, lots of pictures of the animals that I dog and cat sit for.
Nice. And then let's go down to Raph. Raph, tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online.
Hello. So I'm Raph. You can find me online at Raph D'Amico, first name, last name. And I'm a UX designer and game designer, and I have spent the last couple of years building a game called The Zone, which some of you might know. And I am incredibly excited. It took me about like 27 seconds between seeing the tweet for this and just purchasing it. Can't wait to enter this natural weirdness.
I sent Raph a message the other day. When we were looking for one more player and was like, hey, I think this might be up your alley. And Raph sent me back the most giddy picture I've ever seen, holding up the book and smiling as wide as possible. And so I am super excited. We wanted to get Amanda on stream for a little while, so I'm so grateful to be able to have her on and to take us into the game. So we always use a couple safety tools here on channel, unless the system dictates otherwise. We use lines, veils, and the X card. Lines are things that may happen in the world of our game, but don't happen in the course of our play. So they are just things that are firmly off limits. We have a solid line against sexual violence here on the channel. Veils are anything that might come up in the course of play, or that we're concerned about coming up in the course of play that we'll handle in a very specific ways. That might be by flashing forward past them or by only addressing them in a certain way as themes. And the other tool that we use is X card, which is the ability for anybody to say X, type X, message X at any point in the game. We'll pause, identify what the issue is, but no explanation of why it bothers somebody is required. It could just be because it's going to be confusing for you, or it could be because you find it objectionable. Once we've identified what it was, we'll pull that piece out and we'll move forward in a different direction. With that said, does anybody want to add any lines and veils to our game today? With that said, there are some pretty heavy themes here. This is part of our spooky week of streams. So Amanda, do you want to tell people a little bit about what they might be able to expect from the session tonight so they can know if this is a stream for them or not?
Yeah, so this is going to hopefully I'm going to do my best to embody a really terrifying, violent, and like pretty brutal world where it's gross and things are eating each other constantly. I think if you have trouble thinking about animals like killing each other, this might not be a good game for you to watch. Most of them are pretty gross, but some of them are kind of cute. So, but that's something that will happen in this game. There is also the potential for things that have like mind control effects that would affect the player's like actions in certain ways. So that's something that may come up during the course of play. It's dangerous and it's violent, and there's the possibility of character death also. So
cool. And we are not using our normal house OSR system, Down We Go, or anything else like that. We're using just a little minimalist system that I think Amanda whipped together that looks pretty fun and rolls pretty easy, and it has a lot of familiar mechanics, but some really cool stuff that's specific to the setting. So I'm excited to dive into that and get playing. So with that said, I'm going to hand everything over to you, Amanda, and let you take us into the game after I open up this giveaway. And if you want to win a copy of MouthBrood, you can type in !brood me into the chat over on Twitch, and you will get a copy of will get entered into a chance to win a copy of the game with a custom inscription from Amanda. And so with that said, I'm going to turn everything over to you.
Thank you. All right. So the three of you scientists have all arrived on an almost empty airfield in the Canadian Yukon. Your pilot is busy loading your supplies onto a extremely small airplane. And you have a moment before you get on board to introduce yourselves to each other. And I guess just let us all know a little bit about you and what you look like. And
Sweet.
Yeah.
Aaron, you want to lead us off with that?
Sure. I'm playing Ivar Erlingsson, an ecologist, originally from Iceland. He has some speed and some cleverness, but is not very deft. A cat is clawing a couch to bits behind me. Some early creature terror. I have some folding cages, which can hold some of these organisms that we might meet, and some radio tags that we can stick to them and track them around this strange place. And I'm in charge of writing field reports, which I will do very diligently on the back of this envelope that I have.
Awesome. Raph, how about you?
So I'm Dr. Var Quartus, and I'm a biomathematician. And I'm responsible for the expedition's tech and communications equipment. So, I've got a set of tools that can repair a broken device or slightly alter a working one. And, the cool thing about this work that I've been doing is that it gives me this amazing algorithm I can use to predict animal behavior. And so if I can observe an organism for 10 minutes and spend a bit of time with it, then I can get some useful data into the system that can help us make, hopefully, I'm going to say better, but really just way worse decisions.
Awesome. And I'm playing Dr. Chansey Riggs Rigmarole. And I am the expedition leader. I am they're really kind of keeping the team focused on specimen collection. I am a doctor, but I never talk about what I'm a doctor of, which gives everybody kind of the impression that it's not as impressive as what everybody else is a doctor in. It's very ambiguous. But I, as somebody who worked for the company who sponsored the expedition, I have access to information gathered on the previous expedition, which lets me get some kind of input once a day into kind of some information about any organisms we encounter. And I got a tranquilizer gun that can immobilize smaller, medium-sized organisms or slow down a larger one. I'm I'm pretty good at paying attention to what's happening around me.
All right, so the wind is picking up. It's cold. You get loaded into the plane. You're squished in between boxes and tents and cans of food, and you start your journey. And as you fly towards the distant mountains, you can see the remoteness and just the hugeness of the space takes over. Before you know it, there's nothing you can see around you but white and gray and black. It's so far away from everything else. And after about half a day's flying, the pilot spends a little while circling around and finally says, okay, I found a place to put us down, and manages just barely to land the plane on a little flat patch of snow. Helps you load out all of your equipment. He says, well, I'll be back here in a week. If you're back here, I'll take you back to town. If you're not back here, and by here I mean here exactly, by the way, I'm not coming after you. Didn't get paid to come after you. If you're back here in a week, I will take you back, and if not, I'll just go back. If it is storming, I won't come back. If it's storming for 2 days, I won't come back. Next day that it's clear, I will be back here. You are on your own. You got food here to last for a month. Just don't get into any trouble. And meet me here. Good luck to you all. He gets back in the plane and he flies away. And you are left alone, surrounded by huge peaks of snow and ice, and faraway blue sky and whistling wind. And when the noise of the plane dies out, there's nothing left but the crunching of your own snow boots on the snow. Dr. Rigmarole, you've got a map of the expedition site.
Okay.
So you will be able to lead everyone on a hike up to there. You don't believe that it's going to be more than a few hours to do the hike. You do have to decide whether you're going to leave all of your extra supplies here by the airfield or carry them along with you. This will mostly affect when you're setting camp up. Right now, it's a little bit after noon, and you have 6 or 7 hours of daylight.
Okay. So we the equipment, this is not, I know this is not the first expedition. Do I know how many expeditions have been sent out?
You don't know how many expeditions have been sent out.
Okay.
You are working for a company that is incredibly withholding of information.
Okay.
You know some stuff, but you don't know very much. You know that they've been here before, and you've seen a few things. You don't know how many people have been left behind.
Okay, cool. And so, I mean, I think, yeah, I think we should take what we can easily carry. We can always come back for the rest of it tomorrow. So, take a few minutes to make sure everything's secure from the elements that we can't carry, and then grab whatever is easy to move tonight, with an emphasis on like something to sleep under / inside of, and probably food and basic equipment.
Are we going downhill?
You'll be going into a sort of crevice that is up on a glacier. So in between two sort of mountain peaks, as the glacier has begun to melt, and you'll see this as you're doing your hike, the evidence of water melt that's been pouring down the sides of this valley. What was once a completely frozen glacier has started to melt away, and like there are holes in the ice that you have to navigate around, so it takes kind of a while. And as you make your way up the glacier, the expedition site comes into view. And this is, it's like something you've never exactly seen before. It's the form is like a sort of geodesic dome. It's rising out of the ice and snow. It looks like this. It's gleaming white. It's reflecting the sunlight from a distance. The glass windows that are sticking up out of the glacier have a coating of some sort of like smeary dark green mist. You can't see inside at all. And as you get closer to it, you can begin to feel heat coming off of it. Everything underfoot is cold. The wind is still blowing cold against like any exposed skin you have. But when you finally turn a corner of the mountain and you get right up against this thing, it's warm. You can feel it on your face and on your hands. You can't hear anything. And there's some open space around it, just kind of in a little dip. Big dome rising out from the glacier. And now that you're here, it's up to you what you want to do next.
Can we see the entrance?
You can see an opening. There's a sort of tube-like extension coming out of one side, and you can see that it's dark and there's a spot that you could walk into. Unless you get right up to it, you won't be able to see inside.
I think I asked a question to our fearless leader. What's your character's name again, Tony?
If you can, it's Dr. Chansey Rigmarole, but everybody calls me Riggs because no one wants to say Dr. Rigmarole repeatedly.
Riggs, are we on good enough terms that we're using nicknames for each other?
Are you asking that in or out of character?
Hell, in character.
I don't know.
I think it's kind of the answer to itself.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, Rigmarole.
You can call me Riggs.
The moment I've been waiting for. Are we going to camp inside this thing, or should we start setting up outside?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Is there an obvious like flat area out here, or a place where it looks like another expedition was set up previously?
There is the melting of the glacier seems to have washed away any signs of previous expeditions. There is enough flat land around the outside of the dome that you could set up a camp here. You'll be on ice, but you've got like pythons that you could hammer in to secure tents and that sort of thing. It's warmer by the dome. But you'll be right up next to it if you do that.
Yeah, I think the best place actually to set up is probably like where the tube comes out, is going to kind of use that as a corner, that in the natural curvature of the dome. We use that as a corner, so we're drawing some of the heat off the dome, and we're right we're right next to it without having to be inside of whatever this thing is at this point in time. You know, we can always reassess in the morning, but for tonight, I think that's the best choice.
Nice.
Yeah, and I'd like to set up some small probes, small microphones. And I imagine, VAR's got some of these little like attachment things you can put on a surface. I'll just gather vibrational data coming from inside just for later. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what'll be handy? We just got to get more data. Let's get as much data as possible.
Where are you going to set them up exactly?
Around the entrance. Like I'd like to have just kind of something to the side of the entrance. I can capture stuff, but I'm thinking like maybe I've got an array of them, and so I'm just finding different spots. I'm setting them up on the outside, so I'm walking maybe like 20 feet away, just like setting one up, so I can potentially even triangulate things that might be coming out for us.
Now, are you going to be recording this, or are you going to be listening to it live? Or both?
I think I'd like to record it, but as I start recording it, I'm definitely enthralled by the strange sounds. Like the rest of the world is kind of falling away from me already. I'm just too excited by what's on the other side of this thing.
Oh, speaking of that, if anyone ever plays this game, by the way, this is kind of out of character. I made like an hour's worth of MouthBrood ambience, and it's up on YouTube. You can play it while you're running the game at home. I think it's pretty good. I made it out of all of these like free field recordings I downloaded from freesound.org. It's all mysterious, and there's like terrible frog sounds. So you could listen to this exact recording that our biomathematician has made, essentially.
I'm going to start a supplement right now called Terrible Frog Sounds.
They're really bad.
I just went and opened it up on YouTube, and I have zero idea. It looks like should be coming through to the audience at least. I don't know that y'all can hear it, but everybody else
nice.
should probably be able to.
There's
I can hear it.
Okay.
Oh, I can't hear it, but there's like 10 minutes of like wind noise, and then after that, the inside the dome noise starts, so you can like just skip there when you get inside with your game. Anyway, moving on. As you are setting up your camp and setting up your microphones, you notice some footprints coming out of the entrance tube. They are muddy. There is a pool of meltwater from the glacier right at the foot of the entrance tube, where like the heat is really pouring out here, and there's just like it's wet, it's slippery, it's like water on top of ice. It sucks to stand on. And there are footprints that you can see if you peer into the entrance tube, which is made out of a perfect, clean, white metal of some sort. There's no visible joins or rivets or anything. It's just like totally pristine. But there are muddy footprints in there, and they seem to belong to an animal that you cannot identify. They look roughly feline, maybe, but there's some big claw situation going on. They're smeared also. It's pretty much a mess. And there is also some mud mixed in with the meltwater at the like foot of this entrance tunnel. Everything else around you is just like gleaming white with snow, so it's very noticeable.
And is
so
it? Go ahead.
Those footprints are coming out or going in?
Those footprints are coming out. You don't see any going in.
I'll bite. I'll try to track after these footprints while Var. I can't read my own handwriting. I'm such a good note taker. While Var is setting up, I'll look after those prints.
Awesome. Yeah, why don't you actually, in this case, give me a roll for that. Let me just get your sheet up really quick. Here we go. Yes. So roll a d20 for me, and add your keen score.
I got an 11 plus 3, so 14 altogether.
Nice. Yeah, you follow these tracks. They seem to make an attempt to, like, you can see that they're kind of trying to avoid the wet pool of water. And they head out onto the glacier. You can follow them for not that far before the mud gets washed away in the snow, and the scouring wind that's like pouring over this location, you get the sense that it's just washed away any further tracks once you're about like 30 feet away from the dome. You would guess, though, based on how fresh the tracks look to you using your ecology knowledge and the conditions around you, that these tracks have been made within the last 24 hours. They're pretty fresh.
I come back and I say, I don't think this creature is liable to stay out on the glacier. It'll probably be heading for home once it gets tired. We should absolutely keep watch tonight.
Sounds like a good idea. The kind of as we're setting up, what equipment did we? I mean, I said we prioritized tents and food and a couple other things. Is that basically what we ended up with, or what kind of gear are we needing to set up here at the campsite?
So you've got comfortable, fairly like fancy tents. You've got all of the specific gear that you as characters, like, you know, the ecologist has his specific gear. You've got your traps. You've got your like tranquilizer guns. In addition to that, if you suggest things as we play that seem like a reasonable thing to have brought with, I think for if I was doing a more like a longer version of this game, I think we would do like an equipment buy first. But in this case, if it's reasonable that you could have gotten it and brought it, I will let you have it.
Cool. I'll go ahead and check what I'm going to assume is the non-functioning communication equipment we brought with us after I set it up to see if I can connect.
Right. Yeah, you have a satellite phone, and you were instructed to only use it in the direst of emergencies, because calling a satellite phone from the middle of nowhere is extremely expensive. At least that was the reason you were given.
That's also why they didn't give us the nice toilet paper.
That's right. Great tents, horrible toilet paper. So
Nothing better than wiping the snow.
Well, no, there
way.
is something better. It's called nice toilet paper. 2-ply, 4-ply. Give us 8-ply.
This is a cutting-edge scientific research firm. They should be able to afford the mythical 16-ply that I've heard rumors about.
Yeah, well, if you want it, it's coming out of your bonuses.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll make sure the site is set up. For the dome, is it like? I mean, we mentioned the tube coming out. Is there anything that blocks the tube? Is there like a door? Or is it just like?
Yeah. So if you peer inside, there's this tube, and it's about, you'll have to crouch a little to go in, but you can go in. It gets pretty dark pretty quickly because it's all the way around. It's like a little tunnel. At the end of it, that's at the far end, there is a metal closure on it. It has it looks kind of like a camera aperture, if you've seen those where the little guys go like shoop, and they close. It's closed. The heat in there is like noticeable. It's very warm, and you can begin to hear this kind of messed up noise coming from the interior once you're standing inside. It's echoing off of the metal surface. It sounds wild.
Hey, Var, you getting that?
Yeah, and Var looks up. He's got his stethoscope in his ears, his digital stethoscope, with like the other end is like on the door, just like listening like intently. He's just like amplified. But I have this idea that amplified. He's like in his head. He's like in like a Hans Zimmer score. It's just like it's that level of like he's listening at like maximum volume to like really like get like as much information as possible.
And you will notice as you're listening that if you've done like field recording studies before, you get like an animal here or an animal there. You get like certain times of day, maybe it'll be really noisy. This is a cacophony, like nothing you've ever heard before. You can it's almost like you can't make out the individual tones. There's so much coming through.
I think I look over at at the other two, and I'm like, there's a lot of somethings in there. I can't even make out the individual tones.
I say it's because there's a door in the way, and I try to open the door.
How are you trying to open the door?
I guess I start by looking for like some sort of device, a switch or something.
You don't see anything at all. You do, as you investigate the door, notice that there's a scratch on it. And it's very striking because everything else you've seen, like of the dome and everything around it, is really, really pristine. But something strong enough to like just put a little scratch in the metal has done so.
Kitty wants to go home, and I try to like pull a piece of the aperture, hoping that it's almost like an automatic door where if I pull one piece down, the rest will spiral out.
Okay, as you do this, as you put a little bit of like upwards and downwards pressure on it, just like it catches, and the whole thing with perfect smoothness, as though you barely have to touch it at all. Just as soon as you put that sideways pressure on it, it spirals itself open, and you are hit with a wave of heat. And you're hit with this wave of sound coming towards you. The light in there is incredibly bright, as though it's been magnified. You've been outside in the cold white, and what you are looking at is bathed in green. Shafts of sunlight are pouring through deep, rich, acidic green leaves. And even though this opening is very small and you can't see the way up, you can tell that this greenery is just like pressed right up against the entrance that you are standing at. The sounds of the animals like clicking and whirring, and something is like shouting in the middle distance that sounds like a person who might be upset. It's overwhelming. And you're really hot now in your winter clothes. All of you begin to sweat immediately.
We have to get these door technicians on our toilet paper problem. This is the finest door I've ever seen.
And the 16-ply door right there. and so we can hear someone struggling. There's some kind of sound.
It might be an animal.
Something. Yeah.
Pigs sometimes, when you kill them, sound like people crying.
I have the strongest desire to go check that out. I mean,
I have the
team
strongest
leader, do we
desire
really
to
need
ask
to wait until
follow-up
tomorrow?
questions about pig death, but
Yeah, let me know what you're doing. If you're going in, if you're stepping back.
look, it's gonna be dark soon. If we want to go in and check it out real quick, we can do that, but we need to be in and out.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you've got like an hour of strong daylight left. So yeah, if you go in, there's a little bit of cleared area right in front of the entrance. It's muddy. There's more of those footprints that you noticed earlier. They sink into the dirt here. Your feet stick in the dirt as you stand. In front of you, you can see a number of things. Most noticeable at first are 10 huge trees. They don't look like any trees you've ever seen before. They have white stalks. The stalks look fibrous, and you can follow them up into the roof of the dome, 90 feet above you, and you can make out their canopy, and it is the tops of these trees are beautiful pink. They almost look like feathers, like ostrich feathers, if you've seen them with the like curly ends. They're waving gently in the air and they look weightless. One of these trees has been broken. It's actually laying flat across the ground. You can see that its fibrous white stem has a crack in it near the base, and a fluid that's white also is oozing from it onto the ground. Those are the largest things you see. You can also smell amongst the general like mud and dirt and greenery smell, which is also especially shocking coming from like the winter outside where there's nothing. It just smells like cold. In here, it smells like rot. It smells like if you ever like go down to the beach when a bunch of fish just died, it smells a little like that. It smells a little like bad water. It smells like spices. You can smell the scent of coriander or something kind of like coriander that's coming from your right. Finally, when you look down at the mud, you will notice that there is a little camp stove that's been knocked over at some point. And there are footprints, human footprints, booted footprints, and they are leading towards the left into the like thickness of the greenery. There is also a couple of like carabiners scattered around on the ground there. And at this point, I just want to say, like, really quick, a little thing about the way you can move in this space. So MouthBrood is a hex crawl, so you'll be moving from one hex to another hex, and I've rolled up like all of the encounters you might have in them at random. You can also move up. So right now you are in the undergrowth. You're at the ground floor level. The greenery in the dome is so thick and it's so tangled with vines and ferns and stuff. You're going to be able to climb up just about as easily as you can move forwards. Okay. Basically, once you're away from the front entrance, you're going to be climbing over stuff anyway. So at any time, you can go as well as forwards, like up or down or sideways. There are a few cases where that won't be possible, but most of the time you have like 3 dimensions of movement.
You said first of all, are the footprints we're going out of this place, not the booted footprints. Mm-hmm. Are they deeper than the human footprints that we are making, or are they about the same?
They're deeper than the human footprints.
Okay.
Big kitty.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull out a swab and a little test tube and get some of the plant fluid. Just capture a sample of it, if I can.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to consult the bestiary real quick. Sorry.
No, I love it. That's
everything
what
you
we're
love to
for,
hear
right?
from a GM. Oh yeah, exactly. As you do that.
So as you approach this plant, you'll notice at the base of the trunk, this fibrous white trunk, at the base of it, it sort of rises up out of the ground. And ringing the ground that it rises up out of, there's these growths coming out. And they look like teeth.
Okay, then I'm not stepping into this.
How big?
And you can they're big. So it's like a full-size tree. You couldn't put your arms around it at the base. And the teeth-looking things, they look like if a plant could grow a tooth. This is what they would look like. They're whitish. They look kind of organic and planty rather than like made out of enamel, but they sure have the like shape of teeth. And if you're spending some time observing this, you'll notice that they're moving, and they seem to be like, and then they release, and then they dig back into the stalk, and then they slowly go down, and then they release. And as they do this, the broken end of the stalk is being extremely slowly drawn back into the ground.
Goodness.
I'm just collecting the carabiners, and I'm going to check out that camp stove.
I think
carabiners? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, like, I have to observe this more carefully, possibly hit it with a tuning fork.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll come back to that in a second. The carabiners look like totally regular modern carabiners. Maybe not the most expensive of carabiners. They're like discount carabiners.
Like better than the ones you get at the Home Depot checkout line.
But not by much.
But not quite as good as the ones you get at the REI checkout line.
Yes. Yeah, like you'd feel safe hanging your keys on these, but if you were like climbing, you'd be like, oh man.
Okay.
Do you have any other carabiners? The camp stove is also like it's been knocked over, but it wasn't in great shape before that.
That's fine. Is this like a propane camp stove?
Yeah, it's like one of the little ones. It's just it's seen better days.
That's perfect. I'm just going to unscrew that propane tank bottle and stick that in my pocket, because I'm sure we have one that's identical out in our in our kit outside. But extra fuel is always a good idea.
Yeah, good to know. So Dr. Cordis, you were tuning fork on the stem of this plant, you said?
Yeah, it's a good way to get a sense of what's happening inside, just to see how it vibrates.
Interesting.
And it receives, a certain frequencies of input.
So as you hit it with the tuning fork, you quickly realize that you are unable to remove the tuning fork from the surface. It's stuck on there real good. You would imagine, like, you kind of, when you hit something with the tuning fork, you give it a good like this. You just get to this part. It won't come back off. It'll take a considerable amount of strength to remove it. It is like you can pull back on it and like lines of stick are coming off along with you.
I think I'd love to call like Aaron, like you're the ecologist. Please remind me your character's name again.
Ivar.
I feel like this would be a time where I'd be calling Ivar. I'd be like, hey, take a look at this. Like, what do you think is going on here?
It looks like your tuning fork got stuck. Do you want? I pull out a knife. Ahead. I pull out a knife. Do you want help getting it off?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. But I'd absolutely try and remove it.
Yeah, roll a d20 and add your strong.
This is the story of how all of our items got stuck to this thing.
Yep.
Okay. So, Lord, I rolled a 1 plus 4. So.
Yeah, it's still on there. We could maybe work together. Also, ecologist. If you want to name these creatures that you find as we go, you can do that as a group, or you can just take that on, and it'll make it like simpler to refer to them if we run into them later on.
Do I get a sense that the teeth are the same creature as the stalk? Are there teeth around all 10 of the trees? Okay.
Yes, there are. There are teeth around all 10 of the trees.
You got a good scientific genus species name for that business?
No. I mean,
we can also give chat that responsibility if we want.
Dentata teeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's Latin for sticky?
I mean, what you should really be doing is naming it Dentata cordis.
Oh.
Or wait, what's your
honored.
last name? Erling Sony? Yeah, Dentata Erling Sony probably would be the thing to do here.
So they're all just going to be named after me.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
That's what you get when you leave one person in charge of naming everything.
As you are investigating this one creature, you hear something crashing in the undergrowth. You can't see it yet, but it is getting louder.
I hide.
Everyone else? And also, where are you hiding? Generally, like, are you going?
Like
going
in some
deeper
undergrowth?
Into undergrowth? Okay.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Okay.
Just cover yourself in that white fluid.
Well, I know that's sticky now, and I don't want to be stuck.
I'm gonna pull out my tranquilizer gun, and I'm just gonna try to get cover behind like a rock or stump nearby.
Okay.
I'm pointing my listening equipment towards it. I've still got the headphone stethoscope directional mic thing going on. So I kind of crouch down in a bush somewhere and just like.
Yeah. Yeah, you can distractingly, you can hear the crunching coming towards you from two different directions now, but you guys all get under cover. And what you observe is another creature makes its way into the clearing from the undergrowth. It's big. It's the size of like one of your largest dogs. One of your dogs that you see in the street, and it makes you kind of uncomfortable because they're so big. And it's I would say it was ant-like a little bit, but also a little beetle-like. Its most noticeable feature is the mandibles that extend out from the face, which are as wide as the rest of it is long. And it's like about, 10 feet long. There's a yellow fluid dripping from the open jaws. As it comes through the undergrowth, they are closed. And as it steps out, they open up as soon as it has room. And it's just like this yellow fluid is just kind of like dripping from spots all over its face. It's got skin that looks incredibly armored. It has the jointed bug legs of a large bug, and it has a belly that it kind of drags along on the forest floor as it walks. It has two predatory eyes pointing like right forward, nice big eyes, and its front limbs each have a enormous hooked claw on them. They're so big, it seems to give it a little bit of trouble as it moves through the landscape.
I'll go ahead and use my once a day ability.
All right.
To
go ahead.
To have heard about this this creature before.
So you can, if you have, if we were at the table, I would just say, like, I would hand the book over to you.
Yeah.
You've got a copy of it, right? So you could just look at it.
That is true, and I can also show it to the audience too.
Awesome. This is the Ravis Verosa on page 29.
29.
Yeah.
While I'm scrolling to that, we've got Vi watching over on YouTube who says, "Further into the undergrowth, what could go wrong?" In Search of Games says, "Amanda Lee Franck is the best. Love her games and her art." By the way, if you're just joining us over on Twitch, you can get entered into a chance to win a copy of the game by typing in !brood me if you want a chance to win a copy with a custom inscription from.
I didn't come up with that one. That's pretty bad.
29? Is that what you said?
29, yeah.
Let's see.
Is this, while Tony's looking it up, is this, would I have a sense, is it medium? Could it fit in my portable folding cage? Okay.
It would be probably hard to fit it in unless you broke some bits off. You could give it a name, though.
So I think it's, I want to say it's Russian. I'm probably getting this wrong, but there's some culture, some language that like names every animal like after, I want to say pigs. So like a rhino is like pig with a big horn. Mm-hmm. Something else, it's the way we say, I don't know. We have like the
way that we use horse as the root for a lot of things.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm trying to imagine, I want to pick something stupid like that I am now calling all these animals after. Probably dogs, right? Everyone likes dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is a bug bite dog. Okay. But it's in Icelandic, so it sounds much cooler.
I don't know any Icelandic. I'd have to look that up. I'm just writing down bug bite dog.
Bug bite dog.
It's pretty catchy.
Okay, I remember I'm like projected whispering out further to Aaron's character. Aaron, what's your character's name again? It's Ivar?
Yeah.
So I just have to go R and you'll both respond because you both think I said
which we do, by the way.
Yeah. If this thing's aggressive and territorial, I think we should probably back away.
In Icelandic, according to Google, it's Podubithundir. I'm gonna slap a tracking device on this, an adhesive radio tag.
Okay, tell me how you're planning on doing that.
Are they throwable? Like, will they just stick if I throw it?
There is sticky. We could use the sticky sap. We have a sticky material right at
hand. These are already adhesive.
They're adhesive, but the adhesiveness idea, the design of the adhesiveness imagines that you are at your leisure, putting them gently onto an animal that is asleep. I think throwing it, you can absolutely try this, but I will make it very difficult. If you figure out a way to get the sticky stuff from the other, your Dentata Erlingsoni onto it, I will make it way easier.
No, I'm here for a difficult roll.
Okay. That would be, that's going to be a deft.
Oh, I have a -1. I rolled a 13 -1, a 12.
Yeah. So from out of the undergrowth, a little delicate piece of machinery made out of metal and some wires with like a bright green patch that is
like a little bit of that you put on your wall. You have to peel the back off.
Yeah. It just comes soaring into view, and it arcs in this beautiful parabola onto the head of the bug bite dog, and then slides off of it. And as that happened, this guy swivels extremely fast into the direction that the thing came from, and it is going to make an attack in your direction. So this is I'm going to roll to see how good he does.
Beautiful. This is what I'm here for. An early death.
An early death, and then followed by a nap.
No. You're undercover, so you've done this in a very, very smart way.
It's gonna get closer to you, making it easier to stick one of those things on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the advantage.
Yeah, like he's gonna go
professional.
first. But you're undercover, so you've like totally got +2 to your AC. 13. 15, and you are.
I'm
Okay,
14,
you're
but with
good.
+2. Yeah.
+2. Got it. So, you are behind a collection of leaves, and you can hear the spattering of some sort of fluid hit the leaves over your head, like directly in front of your face. The leaves kind of poof, swing back at your face. None of it gets on you. Phew. As you sit there, you also hear this as the leaves that this fluid hit begin to crackle. And as you sit there, you see little holes kind of blossom in the leaves. You can see through them now. You've got a really good view
my
of
cover
the
is
face of this
gone.
guy as he comes towards you. He's very mad now.
Be careful, their venom will melt through almost any substance.
But he's made his move, and so it is now it's now everyone else's move. So if you guys want to all give me a roll for just give me a D20 roll and add your fast, and let me know what that is.
18.
9.
Look, my dice are across the house from me right
Oh,
now.
no.
You want me to roll for you, Tony?
No, it's fine. I don't know
That's
what my
like the
fast
main
is,
thing
but I
you
rolled.
need.
But I rolled a 2. I rolled a 2. So I go last.
Okay. So Dr. Erlingson, it's your move.
I want to bolt out of here, like back towards our camp.
Awesome. You can absolutely do that. You can make a run for the door. He is
So you're going to get an attack of opportunity?
He's going to get an attack of opportunity as you run away. So I'm going to do that right now. He's going to yeah, he's going to try to spit you again, and he is luckily going to miss. So as you make for the door, he kind of like coughs it up a little late, and the vibrant yellow spray hits the plants where you were, kind of traces after you, but he just barely misses making contact as you run for it. And you were still in, you were 10, 15 feet away from the entrance, so you can get through there and go outside. However, your abandoned teammates are still undercover, possibly unseen, and Dr. Cordis, what would you like to do?
I think I whisper over to Riggs, like, Riggs, if we can just stay here unseen for only, and I mean only, barely any time at all. Really, it'll go in just like a jiffy, just 10 minutes, and then just 5 minutes for me to do a little bit of data entry and run my models. I could tell you exactly what this creature is going to do next. What do you think?
Can I have... I wanted it to like sort of chase me. Can I have been like screaming as I leave?
Yeah, you can. That also makes sense that you would do that anyway.
Right.
Screaming does make sense in this scenario.
It's not going to chase you though. It is it's got some other stuff going on that's going to cause it to behave a little bit more defensively in this case. And as it like kind of like as its head follows you as you run through the door and its body kind of turns, Dr. Cordis and Riggs, you can see
pregnant.
that no. No, it's I mean, it might be pregnant.
You
but
said it had
also,
a hanging belly.
Even worse, it has a crack, a bad crack in the carapace midway through its like, you know, I mean, it would be like a thorax on a regular bug, but who knows what this is. You're gonna have to make up some new
morax, because there's more of it.
Yes. It's cracked open and like stuff is oozing out. There's some like of that yellow fluid is oozing out of it and is like looks like it's been eating away at the outer carapace of its body a little bit. You can see into insect there. And as you like observe this, you can like you can also get a sense that it's maybe, judging from this, it's moving like a little stiffly. Like it's not in the best of shape. But it is still your move to decide what to do here.
So I just need to get a little bit better of a sense of fictional positioning, which I know we didn't nail down really well right away. So has it turned towards us, or is it still kind of tracking Aaron's character?
It's within, because you guys are all right around the entrance, which is one of the few more open spaces in the dome. Like it came out of the undergrowth. Aaron ran by it into the entrance like opening. So it is now sidelong to you.
Okay,
and you can see the back of it. It is facing away from you now, sort of towards the left of the entrance, more or less.
Okay, so I'm going to take two of those carabiners and like clink them together. I'm just going to loft them over the far side of this thing towards the, like, to make noise on the far side of it is my plan.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's it, because you're not trying to stick anything to it. That's an easy like throw. You can do that.
Rude.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was a good idea.
No, it wasn't.
It was a good idea.
I'm happy to have made a bad idea.
It was a good bad idea.
Characterful.
Yeah.
But like, you know, anyone, I could throw some carabiners into a place. So we're gonna just go with that. Yeah, and so it does, like, the carabiners hit some trees in the underbrush. You hear them clatter down into the like ground there. It is going to, not quickly, but it is going to walk in that direction. You can see it sort of like rustling around in the ground.
As soon as it turns and starts to move, I want to rush out and try to stab it in that crack with my trank gun.
Whoa. That's rad. Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to not fire this from a distance, but almost use it like it is a, like...
Yeah, like I want to get close enough that I don't have to worry about missing as much.
Yeah, well, so I would say make roll a d20 and add your strong to this.
Oh, my strong, you say?
Yeah.
I'm so very strong. He says, flipping between numerous strings at the same time. That's a 15.
Okay, if you're going, because you're going for its unarmored wound, that does hit. This is a large creature, but it is also in pretty bad shape already. So as you stand over it with your tranquilizer gun embedded in its body, it, like, automatically kind of like rears up backwards towards you. I would make give me a I'm going to say give me a fast save. So like roll a d20 and add your fast, because as it does that, a bunch of this like yellow acidic fluid just kind of like sprays off of the back of it.
That's a 23.
Awesome. Yeah, none of it hits you. You are like out of there. Like you stab it and then you jump away immediately because you saw this coming. And it rears back and then it slumps forward. And it looks not just tranquilized, but it looks dead.
Oh,
it looks I mean, it might just be tranquilized, but it also looks pretty dead. You have to take a pulse.
I'm the cast of Alien, and Tony's character is the cast of Aliens.
Just right now.
I think I'm going for like the cast of Avatar.
Which
The Last Airbender?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We I am very curious about this this venom. That's a fun thing for us to explore in a little bit. Everyone okay?
I'm outside. I am surprised I did not get eaten by that cat that's outside.
The wind.
I did
just
want to
kind of
think a
whistled through the
procedural
doorway in response.
You're suddenly quite cold, Dr.
sweat
Erlingson.
is
As soon as
freezing.
it freezes on you. You feel clammy. It sucks. It's really uncomfortable.
Do we have I do have a GM question. Do we have radios? Like, can we communicate right now? Because we're quite far away from each other. Or are we just like talking audibly?
You're actually really close to each other still. This is a tight. All of the hexes are small. So everything in the dome is really, really tightly packed. So you could like if you shouted, Aaron would hear you. You guys could probably talk to each other at a normal voice and be heard. The louder you are, the more stuff is going to hear you. And actually, as you are, with surprising quickness, as you stand over the body of this bug bite dog, you see some movement on the ground nearby, like just very, very small. It's coming out of the undergrowth, and it is a tiny little beetle. Looks almost entirely like a regular beetle you might see, a tropical beetle, brilliant green wings, elytra, like on the back. The most noticeable feature of it is it has elaborate antenna, huge frondy antenna, like it's got ferns coming out of its head. It's not big, it's little. It is gently stepping over little sticks and bits of grass and stuff, and it is making a beeline for the body of the bug bite dog. And as you watch, you can see a second one behind it.
I'm trying to drag this thing towards the exit. In all honesty, if I see these insects coming out of the ground for it.
Yeah, the insects are following you as you drag it towards the exit.
Great. I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to get this thing out of here and
give me
preserve
a roll
the sample.
Give me a roll for strong really quick, just to see how long this will take you. It's pretty big, so.
I keep on thinking like, what insect is down here in this room with me? And it's just the ambience that I keep on forgetting is on in the background.
Dr. Quartus, what are you doing right now?
I think I'm kind of like turn off the recording. My attempt at a recording was sadly cut short. So I'm just like, well, archive the file.
I'm gonna say
nearly ran.
you've observed the behavior of the bug bite dog for quite some time at this point. So what I'm going to say is, because this one was injured, and also it wasn't like the full 15 minutes of it moving around, I'm going to say like you've got like 60% accuracy at predicting the movements of one of these. You have 100% accuracy of predicting the movements of the dead one.
And the teeth trees. You love those teeth trees.
You do love those.
Well, I think
Yeah.
I mean I want to keep observing, you know. So I'm like, you know, I think as Riggs is going out, I'm like, I'm just gonna stay in here. I'm just gonna start setting up like a tripod with more directional mics. I just want a blanket, just capture as much as possible.
I only rolled an 8.
It's gonna take you. It's like it's Jaws. Keep getting stuck on things.
Bar.
You keep almost putting your hand in like some of the yellow fluid and having to like wipe it off really quickly. So it's gonna take you like 5 minutes to leverage this thing into the. Like you got to drag it up into the opening. You've got to pull it down the tube to get it outside. But time passes, and as you do this, there are no other creatures around. One of the little bugs has gotten onto the bug bite dog, the dead one, and is watching it. It's like it's watching you. It's like sitting there, and it's got its little antenna up, and it's, for all the world, it is like it is when you try to like unstick a claw of the dog off of like a tree limb that it got stuck to. The little bug like watches you do it and then looks back up to your head, and it's not doing anything other than sitting there and kind of seeming very attentive. But as you get to the outside and it gets colder, the bug like backs off as the temperature falls. And by the time that you've got the bug bite dog out onto the glacier, the bug is retreated back into the forest with its friends.
Do I see any of that?
Yeah, you'll see it. You could probably even help if you felt up to it.
Well, I want to actually use my portable folding trap to try to get this frond antenna bug.
So describe to me the method that you've got in mind for trapping it.
Yeah.
Because the trap is just like, it's, you know, it's got a little thing that opens, and it's got like probably a little pressure pad so that when something steps on it, the gate will come down. But what's your method?
Maybe as I see it start to wilt a little and decide it doesn't want to hang out here, I want to like get behind it back into the entrance tube and set up my trap, and then back further back into the dome so that as it comes back, it walks past this trap.
Okay. Is it yeah, you will see as you do this that this little bug it backs away from the cold. Also, by the way, give it a name.
It's the Frondgislebaugerhunder, which is like a halo frond dog.
Frondgislebaugerhunder.
Sorry, I can change it.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. It's so gorgeous. I love it. Yeah, it retreats. It's backing up backwards. Its back leg touches the edge of your trap, and it wheels around, and it begins to around all the edges of the opening of the trap with its feelers. It's like,
Can I punt it
and
in?
then, Yeah, totally. Give me a roll for deft.
Again, a -1. That's 18 -1.
Yeah, you punted in. Nice work. It goes right in.
It's like
It's beautiful.
delicately exploring this thing, or just like,
Yes. But that's how a real ecologist would handle an insect.
yeah.
Heartlessly.
Well, we're here to get samples, right? We have to get
Yes.
some samples.
And I'm sure that you really need the money because you're a scientist.
I have recently gone through a divorce. Kind of lost everything that I had, including kind of my heart and my ability to emote and open up to people. So I could really use the money right now.
Yeah.
You express emotion by collecting samples.
It's questionable whether you're even a doctor anymore because they got your diplomas in the separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so right now, it's you guys have been doing this stuff for a while. You've got maybe 15 minutes more of light in the dome. Right now, outside of the dome, Riggs has wrestled this really like the body of this creature onto the ice. There's like the acid that has gotten onto this like bright yellow fluid that kind of got onto its carapace from the like some interior organ in its body is really like eating away at the exterior at this point. It's emitting a foul smell, pretty bad stuff. But you've successfully brought it out onto the glacier. You also have a very small bug in a cage that doesn't want to be cold. And it's right now it's like, delicately feeling around. It presses, you can watch it press the little pressure plate several times with one of its delicate feet. And Dr. Cordis, you have had a great deal of time to observe the trees. The let's see, Dentata erlingsoni, as you've been sitting
Indeed.
and making recordings.
I've learned so much.
You have.
I've also lost precisely 2 more tuning forks.
I would say that, like, given the amount of time you spent here, that you would be able to, like, with determination, you would be able to collect a sample of the sticky fluid. Just like trying again and again, you managed to get a piece off and stick it in a little sample jar.
Great.
Yeah, you also
Perfect.
have spent enough time with these that you can predict their behavior with accuracy. It's kind of easier because they are trees. They are gonna. You can predict that they will be here tomorrow.
I predict tree behavior every single day of my life.
Yeah.
Look, the math doesn't lie.
That's the algorithm.
So once everybody's been able to kind of extricate themselves from the dome, I kind of want to position the body of this bigger bug in front of the tube as kind of a barrier.
Well, so I have large cages that can hold up to 10 organisms.
Mm-hmm.
So we could pop that bug in one of those cages even.
Great. That sounds great.
I'm still worried about attracting the escaped cat.
I am, which is part of the reason for putting it in front of the tube is just so I want to see if that thing comes back while we're asleep and we wake up the next, I want something that kind of keeps it from being able to go back inside easily.
Can we try and set up a trap? Are they? Do we? That thing is probably pretty big. I mean, do your cages? Do you have any cages that could hold something that was larger than a person?
So my immobile, I have large cages that can hold animals, but they're not portable. Like we could bring it in and set it up, but it would take time. The little portable trap that I have cannot catch large animals, only small and medium. I mean, I can leave it out. Once I can pop this bug in one of the large cages and set the trap up and see what happens. But this creature seems pretty big. Yeah, I'm fine seeing what happens if we leave the trap out.
So describe to me what this setup is going to be in physical terms. Like, you have this tube that extends out from the dome, and you've got the bug and you've got the trap. How exactly are these objects?
I was talking about the big bug bite dog. I want to put the big bug bite dog in front of the tube to block it off, essentially. Whether we want to pop it in a large cage or not is, to me, immaterial and fine either way.
Big cage in front of the tube. Big bug in the cage.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Small bug in a different cage.
Big creature, big bait.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you rest the cage, and if there's any other details you want to tell me about this setup, just let me know. You rest the cage with its opened up doorway facing the entrance. Are you going to close or leave open the aperture?
Close. So I thought I would assume close.
Yeah.
Definitely close.
Okay.
Tons of remote monitoring equipment, but close.
Nice. Awesome.
Can I ask a question just about our characters? Like, how worried are we about this, like, this big creature on the outside? Are we like, sleep with one eye open? Are we like, one of us is definitely gonna have to keep watch? Or are we like,
I think
are we just like nihilistic and kind of just like, well, like, where are we at on this?
I think we had agreed to take turns keeping watch. You have seen me run screaming from one large animal.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about any of this. And so that's why I am willing to put my trap on the line, even if this creature's too big for it. I want to take care of it before it. The idea of just leaving it wandering around is too just existentially terrifying.
Yeah.
It's like I might run into my ex-wife at the place we used to hang out. Like if I go there with my friends and then...
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of setting a watch. And I ask a lot of very pointed questions about what are some of these places your ex-wife hangs out.
I mean, the grocery store, just places that anyone hangs out. What grocery store?
The little bug in the little portable cage is like, it's gotten sort of like, it's slowed down as you took it outside, and it's with its antenna like this to you. No. And every so often it taps on the pressure plate, and then it with its antenna.
So I've moved it into one of the bigger cages because I have to reuse my small portable one.
Okay.
And I will crack, you know those things you crack and put in your gloves to make heat?
Uh-huh.
Crack one of those, put it in there, throw a blanket over it.
Okay. Yeah.
Are live samples worth more?
Oh, you should ask your expedition leader.
Hey, boss.
Usually, I mean, they may not be, who knows how long they'll be alive, but if they start that way, we've got options. If they don't start that way, we don't have options.
Do we have any bug food? I open a can of anchovies and slide it into the cage as well.
So, yeah, the small bug, it circles around all of these objects. It like leans up against the hand warmer. It moves over to the anchovies. It wafts its antenna over the anchovies. And as you watch, it slowly begins to, like, its tiny little face moves down to the surface of the anchovies, and a tiny little tube comes out and begins to siphon up some of the shiny anchovy fluid.
Are
This
these just
bug
are these just
is-
normal anchovies in oil, or do they have something in there?
I mean, is this a leading question?
No, I'm just curious.
Oh no, just normal anchovies.
I had a
think.
year and a half as an elementary school student where I was obsessed with different types of anchovies, and sardines and other types of canned fish products.
You, Tony, or Riggs?
Let's go ahead and let some character bleed happen here. I was talking about me, Tony, but sure, Riggs shares that story in character also.
After the bug eats a little bit of the anchovy fluid, it lifts its tiny head up, and its dark eyes seem to be looking directly at you, and it raises its delicate antenna, and then it drops them back down again, and then it returns to the anchovies.
I fall in love with the bug.
Yeah.
You, Aaron, or Ivar?
I mean, I love bugs.
Yeah. Wow.
That's some truly wholesome character bleed right there.
Third act of play, that bug's gonna save us.
So night falls. As you set all of these traps up, start to form some new relationships. You set up your watches. We'll just take them. Who wants to go first? Who wants to go second? Who wants to go last? And
I'm
then
happy to go
also-
first.
Okay.
I'll go first. Oh wait, did you say you will or you won't?
I would say I'm happy to.
Oh,
I'll go
Go ahead.
last.
Okay. And it's cold, especially after being in a jungle. Where are you going to set up to watch? Are you just going to stay awake in your tent? Are you going to be outside? Let me know what your location is.
So the dome is completely dark now, I imagine, right? Is there any light coming from within?
There are occasional flashes of light that you can kind of see through the scum on the windows. They're sort of like fireflies, but of a color that's not the firefly color. They come and go. That's it, though. There's no other light.
So what I was thinking is that I step a few, like 20 feet away from everything. Like I kind of want to be, I don't want anything to disturb my watch. I want to, also make sure that I have enough distance that an early warning would be useful.
Right.
And that there's no light pollution from those flashes or anything. And I've got my listening devices still out, and I'm just like staring over the horizon. Like I'm staring away from the dome, just like scanning. But I've got the sound of the dome just kind of in my ears, just like, and I'm completely captivated by it still. I just can't stop. I know I probably shouldn't be damaging my ability to hear potential things are coming, but like I just can't stop listening.
So 1 hour passes. The northern lights glisten in the sky above you. The peaks are silhouetted by the most incredible, just like scattering of stars you've ever seen. It's like cold and clean and beautiful out there, but you've got this dome at your back. And you can still, even at 20 feet away, you can still kind of feel a little bit of the heat off of it. And you can smell the acrid, rotting smell that's wafting off of this bug creature that's waiting in the cave in the darkness by the doorway. And in your ears, the sound of all of these animals, just like as night falls, they shift slightly. You start to hear new, different things, but the cacophony is still as intense as it was during the daytime. It's just sort of a different rotation of creatures. Another hour passes, and then about 2.5 hours into your watch, your sound cuts out. And for a moment, you think that something has gone wrong with your instruments because it's so complete and it's so sudden. But you keep listening and you hear it's just barely audible, but you hear movement. You hear footsteps of something passes by. It must be right next to your microphone. You could swear you hear like the gentle like fur passing over the microphone delicately. And then the silence comes back. And then you hear the noises of the dome start up again slowly, and then louder and then louder. And you hear the aperture slide open. And you hear, again, it's almost inaudible, these footsteps. They're so quiet. But you have so many listening devices hooked up that you can make them out. You have so many, and they are turned up so loud. You hear the footsteps in the entranceway, and then they stop. And you have a moment where nothing happens, where you can decide if you want to do anything right now.
And so what I've heard is something, my impression is that this is the sounds from inside of the dome. Something has come through this iris. It has come out, it's in the entrance, it's now outside of the dome.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just standing there.
Yeah.
Well,
nothing else has happened yet.
I stand very still and I observe, because I'm like 20 feet away. I'm far away from the others. They're not going to be able to react in time. That thing's going to hear me if I try and go wake them. All I can do is listen.
Yeah. You hear a sound of something.
And sorry, I just have to add one important detail. I don't turn around to look. Like okay. Specifically, like I'm so reliant on my ears that I'm like, it's so dark. I'm just like, I'm still facing away from the entrance.
Yeah. So what you hear, and you hear a slight metallic ting, which you recognize as the sound of the parts of that trap as they hit each other. You heard it a bunch of times while you guys were setting it up earlier. It's like, you know, like tinny sound of thin metal hitting metal. You hear that just once. And then you hear a sniff. And then again, there's some silence. You hear a grinding sound. It's kind of almost like nails on a chalkboard-esque. It sounds like bad. Like, and then you hear much louder.
Knock, knock. Hey there. Oh,
the
how you doing? You must be Mr.
heavy
Mrs.
step,
Wilkerson, right?
And the like groaning of the like spring that controls the door as something steps on the pressure plate in the cage.
Goodness.
And you hear this angry animal scream. You hear two of them. You hear, it's as though, like you never, when you were listening before, you heard the footsteps and you heard the motions of one creature, but you hear two screams. They're kind kind of like it sounds a little bit like a human voice, but there's something wrong with it. And one of them is like closed up and strangled, and one of them is deep and loud and horrible. And you hear this also is so loud that it's like really bad for your ears.
I turn it up.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing.
And you can get more detail.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
I
can hear that one
very
of the-
carefully turn on the spectral analyzer and start recording.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you can hear like the labored breathing coming in after these two screams are done. And then you hear the door of the cage slam down. And then it's just like this confused noise, like a struggle is happening. It's very loud. And actually, this has all been loud enough that everyone is awake now. So everyone can now act at this point.
I absolutely run out there with a flashlight. In like long underwear, glove, mittens, scarf.
Yeah, with the cage, door closing, like I was gonna run over and wake the other two, so that's what I was starting to do as you come out.
Yeah.
I'm like having a hard time getting my tent door open. Like there's a lot of frantic attempts to zip things before kind of bursting out. I've just been sleeping in my day clothes, and so but it takes me a minute to get out there. What's going on?
So Dr. Erlingson, the shaky light of your flashlight, as you shine it through the bars of your large cage, you see that it is as full of creatures as it could possibly be. And you also see that it doesn't look like it's going to last very long, this cage. It's like the bits of metal that kind of hold the structure together at the corners, they are already starting to give way as the creature inside of it like raises its back up and presses against the top of it. It roars again, and still, like, it's because you've got the flashlight. You just got the one flashlight right now. It's hard to get a full picture of what you're looking at. It has fur. It has a cat-like face. You see, for a moment, the light hits a massive amount of teeth around the face. It looks like the teeth come up over the top of the head. You see the glint of a green eye, like when you run into your cat in the middle of the night and suddenly you're afraid of your own cat. But that green eye is peering at you from behind a tooth that's somehow like up by its eye. And then later on, as it continues to push against the bars of the cage, you see more teeth. But they're down, they're like somehow between its four cat-like legs. There's more teeth down there and a darkness. And as it turns that way, this horrifying, like, hot breath that smells like just decay comes wafting towards you. And it's screaming again, and you can see now that the two screams that you heard were coming from one of them from like the head end and one of them from whatever is going on in its midsection. And it looks like in another motion, in another couple of seconds, it's going to have the top of this cage off. You can also see that it is like it's been kind of slammed into the body of the bug bite dog, and so it has some of that acid has gotten onto its fur, and you can smell the like burning hair smell also coming off of it, and so that is something that's happening to you. You can see like the smears of it on it. It looks extremely enraged, and it is continuing to scream at intervals. But you guys all have like a round to act. We're also nearing 9 o'clock, which I think might be the stopping time. So I'm just gonna if this is cool with everyone, we'll like kind of do a round of action and then a cliffhanger.
I think that's great. It's good. Great taste of the game. So, we had to hike up. We are on a glacier. We are on ice.
Yes, it's very slippery, and in fact, this cage is on like this cage where you set it up. It's like water on top of ice, so it's incredibly slippery there.
I want to just start trying to push this cage down the hill to get it to slide and smash into whatever it is. I just want to get it away. Like I don't have a good solution for this other than try to push this cage down the hill.
So if you would knowing the weight of the creature that was in there before, and that you won't be able to do this by yourself. Everyone's going to have to try.
Yeah, I don't think that that probably initially comes to me after I slam into the side of it uselessly one time, and I'm like, push!
Well, I think Dr. Quartos just comes out of his trance a little bit to go help, and then as soon as he gets close to the thing, he just vomits, just bent over, just slides, just falls flat on his face, and then just hyperventilating, just like hand back up onto the cage, just like, okay, I'm trying to help, just like it's trying to push, but it's just like utterly overpowered by the stench and the terror.
Its face is pressed up against the bars, looking straight at you, and you get for an instant just a momentary, like its eye, one of its big green eyes looking straight into yours, and it's got a human eyeball in there. It's shaped like a regular human eyeball, and somehow that's worse than everything else. So it's worse than the smell, and you can see from right up close to it that the mouth full of teeth, and the teeth are so big that it seems to be holding its jaw open because the teeth have grown so large, but one of the teeth has grown all the way out from the jaw, and it's curled up like the tusk of, like a gigantic pig or something. And it is curled around, and it's begun to embed itself back in the head. And it's simultaneously holding the jaw of this creature open and not allowing it to open it any farther, because if it were to open its mouth up enough to be comfortable, it would drive that top tooth down into its own brain. And you see this, and this is probably one of the many reasons that you throw up a bunch.
Is it trying to communicate with us at all?
It's communicating with you that it is extremely mad and very, very, very angry.
Ivor, push!
It wants you to be dead. Yeah, everyone give me a
push.
Ivar just pulls out keys and shakingly opens the cage that the frond bug is in and gets in and hides under the blanket.
That was a really big cage.
It says large cages. Cage. I have one small portable cage.
He said he took it out of the portable cage and put it in the larger cage.
Yeah, that's true. Oh my gosh, that's so kind of you. But also, like, wow, you're not a team player. Okay.
No.
Riggs and Dr. Quartos both give me a D20 and add your strong.
I got a 17.
Nice.
I got a 13 plus. Yeah, I also got a 17.
Okay. So with those good rolls, you managed to, despite the slipperiness of the ground you're under, despite the horror of this creature that you're trying to push, in a kind of comical way, like down the glacier, it's in a little sled. You managed to get it going. It's icy, and you've come uphill, and because it is so heavy, once it starts moving, picks up speed, and it starts like still screaming. It just, it almost instantaneously disappears into the darkness. You hear a crash. You hear the cage break. You hear the things in the cage fall out as it kind of careens down some, hopefully down some crevasse that it won't be able to get back out of. And there's a moment of silence on the glacier. The smell of the creature begins to dissipate. And the intense noise and action are gone, and it's just quiet, and there's just the starlight and the sound wafting out of the dome behind you, the warmth coming out of it. And Dr. Cordis, you've still got your hookup to the... You're still hearing the inside of the dome. You hear everything go silent again. And I think that's where we should cut it.
That sounds great.
I think that's where we'll leave this.
Awesome. We're gonna do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is
that's great.
A live stream within a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game that we just played and talk to them about what our thoughts were on that game. Today, we just finished playing MouthBrood by Amanda Lee Franck with a little bit of a homebrew system that Amanda had put together. I had an absolute blast playing it, but I was not the only one who got to. Amanda, for people who are just joining us on stream or who joined us a little late, go ahead and tell them a little bit about MouthBrood and what it is.
So MouthBrood is basically, it's a hex crawl. It's a tight, overpopulated hex crawl. It looks like that. It comes with, if you get the print version, it was put out by Games Omnivorous as part of their Manifestus Omnivorous collection, which has many cool and unique games. And they have a manifesto that you have to follow if you're writing something for the collection. So it's got stuff in it like, the adventures can only have one location. The adventures must include a voracious eater, and they must have less than 6,666 words, the coolest amount of words. So this is when they asked me if I wanted to write something for them, and they gave me this manifesto to follow. I had the idea for this instantaneously. It's a bunch of animals. They're all terrible. They all really do want to eat you and each other. And I've made them as gruesome as humanly possible. Although some of them are, you can, befriend them like that small bug and fall in love. Because
I assume that small bug ate me the moment I got into the cage with it. So.
No. I promise you, it wouldn't have.
I love it. I had a blast. Also, I love that because I think in all the other Manifestus Omnivorous games, there is one monster, and that is true for MouthBrood also. There's a ton of animals, and creatures, and they might eat you and they might hurt you, but there is kind of one monster in the thing, right?
Yeah, in a way, I kind of broke that rule really big. Yeah. It's that's if you're gonna break a rule, you should do it you should really break it.
Don't kind of break the rule, make it worth it,
Yeah.
And so
but yeah, it's like in nature itself, many things can seem monstrous that are only following their their natural course in life, and it's our own feelings and attachments to staying alive that renders them monstrous to us.
Awesome.
The real monster was our attachment to our human ways.
Yes.
Yeah. And it comes with this, like you said, the cover piece comes off, and it's this beautiful hex crawl piece that you can kind of see some of the different areas we were, that ability to kind of climb up or down or around, a very tight knit hex crawl, which I kind of love the feel and the
Yeah,
flavor.
you guys went in 1 hex.
Yeah, we went to 1 hex and then hung out outside like fraidy cats. I think smartly, but whatever. If you are just joining us, also, if you type in !brood me, you can get entered into a chance to win a copy of the game. I'll also drop the link, but it's right below my face. If you go to ttrpg.link /MBGame, it'll take you to the Games Omnivorous site where you can buy the thing, and also drop Amanda's itch page in just 1 second, also, where you can pick up the rest of her games. But with that said, let's hear from our other players. And if you have questions, chat, let us know. And wherever you're watching right now in the chat. But Raph, let's hear from you. Tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, but also tell us what it was like to play MouthBrood.
Yeah, I'm Raph. You can find me on Twitter at Raph D'Amico. I'm a UX and game designer. Probably most of you would know me from a game called The Zone, which, as Tony said at the beginning, like, this is just so 100% my jam. I absolutely love going into weird places that are trying to kill me with absolutely horrifying creatures of all kinds doing the killing. As my character's will slowly breaks down, soon followed by their body. I mean, it's just, I'm biased. This is just so my jam. I'll just say, like, my main reaction, I mean, the game is great. Also, like, Amanda, like, you're just a phenomenal GM and, like, describer of this environment that we were in. Like, I just had chills so many times from just the detail in the descriptions. I think, I keep thinking about that whole rule of when you're GMing of, you tell people what's happening, but not how they feel about it, right? Like, and I feel like, when I got the book, and I'm really glad that I didn't, give it too deep a read, knowing that I got it like not too long before Tony reached out to me. Otherwise I would have read it cover to cover and had some of these like details kind of spoiled for me. But I looked through it enough to know that I feel like it gives you a ton of structure to create these like absolutely disgusting, horrifying details. And they're incredibly specific. Like, if you look at the descriptions of each of these creatures, like, they have this like wonderful like scientific language. It's very precise, much like your GMing. Like, it's got a lot of this kind of stuff that makes it feel very, very real, very like you're looking at a kind of anatomical guide, and I just feel like that's the kind of detail. Like, I love making and playing GM-less games, and that is the specific kind of detail that is the hardest, that it is most lost when you play a GM-less game without that kind of support. But when you have it, it's just incredible, because it just gives things a lot of life. Not to disparage I have to say it's like a dog and then translate into Icelandic also worked really, really well. Pretty fantastic. But I thought, like, between that and the illustrations, like, I just felt like there was just so much support for creating this weird world. And, we played for 2 hours and we encountered just a couple of creatures, but it just feels like there's just hours of play. So I guess my question for you, Amanda, is like, how did you, like, what was your thinking behind that level of scientific detail? And is that, is it made up? Is it inspired by real? Were you kind of pouring through like anatomy and, naturalist textbooks? Like, how did that come together?
I grew up watching nature documentaries. I really love biology. I love insects, and insects have some of the most messed up lives of any creature that exists. And I did an internship at the Field Museum here in Chicago, working in the Department of Insects, and like dealing with stuff like the fact that you have an insect collection. And part of your job as someone who's working with an insect collection is making sure that more insects haven't come in to eat your insects, because there are specific kinds of insects that live on insect collections. And you have to go through every single box of beetles every so often to make sure there aren't any of those. So it's a marvelous world that we live in. And I love this stuff, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it's fascinating, and I think it's also, I don't know, it's also horrible when you really look at it. I think, I don't know, there's this famous like Werner Herzog like quote where he talks about the jungle and how all of the animals are screaming in pain. And I really feel that says, I don't know, that's kind of how I feel about life in a way. And it's not in necessarily a bad way, it's just realistic. And that there could be creatures that are like constantly devouring each other, but there is still like beauty to be found there, or at least adventure, or, you know, it's just, I don't know. This is stuff that I love, and I love the genre like Annihilation, like you know, Stalker, or Roadside Picnic, or there's this Stanislaw Lem book called Eden, which is also in this genre, which I love, that I don't think many people read, but it's great. Where like a bunch of scientists go into an environment and they see a bunch of stuff, and they don't understand it, and when they leave, they still don't understand it, and it's kind of bracing to have that experience of not being able to totally know everything. So I hope that answers your question. I feel like I got it. It
does. No, the love just comes through so deeply. Thank you for creating this.
Oh, thank you.
Aaron, how about you? Tell us who you are, what you do, where people can find you online, and what it was like to play MouthBrood.
I'm Aaron King. I wash dishes mostly. I'm at Aaron MF King on Twitter. I had a great time. The sensory details were like 10 out of 10. Best game refereeing ever. I don't know how much of that comes from the book and how much comes from on-the-fly stuff. But I think like one of my favorite things about playing role-playing games, especially like in an extended multiple session way, is like this accretion of details and accretion of feelings and movable pieces. And I just love that we started with like the most immobile thing, a tree, and then you like slowly brought in these other moving parts and kind of let us tug at them and push at them in different ways until all of a sudden they were like interacting and crashing against each other. I think that kind of escalation is my favorite, and I think adventures and resources that let you kind of build those things and let you crash those toys together and let players, you know, pick what's important to them and spotlight moments and then have other things swing into that is really special. So that was it. I had a great time. I don't think I have any questions. Would that bug have eaten me? I hope so.
No, they're really nice. They're like super intelligent. They're great. It would have tried to communicate with you, and then it would have tried to like introduce you to all of its friends.
And we die in the cold together instead.
Yeah, if you learned how to speak its language, it might have married you.
There you go. Rebound.
We gotta keep playing.
That's in the future, though. Like, you know, you just met.
Part 2. No, I absolutely love it. Just a reminder, if anybody out there has questions, great time to ask. We're gonna be finishing up in just a few moments. I had an absolute blast playing it. I knew I would. Yeah, absolutely. Just, you know, I think a lot of people have seen a lot of your work, whether they know it was your work or not. Like, people are very familiar with your work on Codex magazines, with your 2 game releases, this being your third one or second one, depending on when people got Vampire Cruise. You know, as far as print releases go, the visual styling is always so beautiful on all the work you do, and I'm always just so struck by both your line work and the way that you will take a single color palette and then blend it across in various shades to do a lot of tremendous work. And I'm just always so captivated by it. And it was like, as you started doing, like, you never know if somebody's an artist, whether that translates to the way that they GM also too, or the way that they describe a scene. And so it was very cool to see like the visualizations that you were bringing in, as well as like I always think smell is the like thing that most GMs never hit unless it's like here's the one bad smell. But when you're dropping in things like also coriander and this, like, you know, like there are these little elements, and it's so great. And then I even love just the starkness of the environment you created. Like the outside cold is a harsh environment that we kind of feel like is safe, even though it's not. But naturally humans are going to gravitate towards that warm place where you can actually survive better. And that tension that this creates. And like Aaron said, going in with the trees and everything moving around. But for me, it was very cool to go in and be like, here's all the trees and they're big and towering and go up to the very top of this structure. And one of them is broken. Something has broken one of these and you just showed up. And so all you know is that something in here is capable of breaking one of these trees, right? That's a very evocative, like stark moment. But I've just been like, just again, same thing with Raph. I had a preview copy. I didn't want to go through it in too much detail because I didn't want to know anything until we got playing. So I read the first little bit, a couple of parts that we didn't really get to showcase that I do want to make sure people know about. That we did the naming of things, but there are actually these little sheets in here, these little specimen sheets that you can use. I'm going to pop them up real quick so people can see them. That are just like very simple, like, you know, what location was it in? You know, the name, the physical description, the observed behavior, the specimen number. You can do a little sketch of it yourself if you want to, like those type of things. And then like the abilities based on what position everybody takes, like some very simple pieces that'll drop into any system, not necessarily stat blocks, but things that you would actually be able to put on the table and have also be in-game artifacts were very cool. The art's, like we talked about already, just absolutely gorgeous. I think, you know, for me, you know, you talked about, you know, some of the places you kind of like, yeah, there are a lot of creatures in this book, but what was like this as opposed to doing something like Vampire Cruise or Garbage Barge or any of the other work that you've done, like what was one of the challenges of kind of stepping into this setting specifically that you kind of struggled with and wrestled with as you were kind of going through? What was kind of some of the things that really kind of stretched you as a creator?
Man, I'm gonna give like the worst answer to this question, which is like this is so deep in my wheelhouse. I basically like sat down and just wrote a story. Like I had a harder time with Vampire Cruise than this. This is just like I've read so many things about messed up animals that it is you know, I did a lot of I think the something that was hard for me that I actually like I got a lot of help with from the like Andrew Novoa of Games Omnivorous and the team was like having the initial structure of like here's the types of characters you might play. Like that simple, like you've got 4 different kinds of scientists, you can pick one. Like that sort of way of thinking about a game that will be system neutral rather than just a plain old like, you know, D&D style, OSR style like thing. That was something that like I wouldn't have come up with that on my own. Yeah. That was because I had the help of this awesome publishing company and they came in and like, you know, said, what if we had sample characters? And I was like, that's a fantastic idea. And then I came up with sample characters right away. But it was interesting to write something that was meant to be put into any sort of game system. So I'm hopeful that it succeeds at that.
Yeah. No, like I said, I could easily see dropping this into OSC. I could easily see dropping into Down We Go, our house system. I could see like I think there's any OSR system out there, anything that does modern fairly well with a D20 system, especially, is going to be really easy to drop this into. But again, I love that those simple additional like core abilities of when you take this position, here's a thing you get. I love those as whatever system you're playing with. Here's something extra you get when you play in this setting specifically, and I dig that. In Search of Games, loved the cat-like teeth on the big creature, but also talks about that you did art for their cyberpunk book written by Scrap Princess, and it looks so amazing that they can't wait to share it with other people soon.
Is it coming out? I did that art like 2 years ago, and it's really good.
In Search of Games,
and the game is really good.
When's it coming out, and when are we going to get to play it? That's the question.
I also want to say that while you were describing Descent of the Tooth Cat, my sister's real-life cat took a very heinous shit one room over. And initially I thought you had somehow infiltrated my brain and were projecting these smells onto me. But then I heard the scratching in the litter box.
That's that game mastery.
Yes.
That's true. True game masters can project thoughts into their player's head. And so take that, famous GMs everywhere. This is not for Amanda, actually. Aaron, was the name Ajvar inspired by your love of roasted eggplant / pepper spread, or is there a different story behind it?
I have no idea what. It was Ivar. It's Ivar.
That's what I was making sure I hadn't misunderstood.
No.
But, Aaron, what are your thoughts on roasted eggplant / pepper spread?
I hate most foods. I grew up in a small town eating just like, I'm a child of divorce, so I ate a lot of fish sticks and stuff. So actually, I don't know much about fancy foods, and I've only lived in a big city for a few years now. So I hate eggplant. I hate anything that I can't tell what it is by looking at it. So sorry to disappoint.
It's something to look forward to in the future. I thought there was an inside joke that I was just not aware of. That's great though. Amanda, what are you working on next? That's the other thing I want to know. Like, I know you just finished this. Vampire Cruise just came out. I know Zine Quest 4 may be on the horizon if they decide to do it. What do you have in the works right now?
Well, this is super early days, like research stuff, but so like if I do another boat book, I'll have a trilogy, and I can call it Bad Boats, and I can release it in a little collection. But more importantly, Haunted Submarine. What if you were on a submarine, but the submarine was haunted? And what boat is worse than a submarine? It's already underwater. It's totally breaking like the main boat rule. So I'm right now I'm really just researching this. I have I've picked up every book about submarine disasters that I could find to figure out like what sort of things can go wrong on a submarine. And I've talked to my musician friends about maybe putting together a song that incorporates that like sonar pinging noise that everyone loves so much.
Love it.
I'm gonna watch Das Boot again,
Bear says haunted submarine equals actual nightmare. Lex Mandrake says OMG bad boats. Goblin Mixtape says, "Oh, I would so play that." I can't wait. I hope we get a Bad Boats trilogy. So very, very much. I think the people have obviously decided they want it. We're about to do a drawing for that copy of MouthBrood. So if you haven't hit !Brood me, please do. I wanted to showcase. I just got my copy of Vampire Cruise the other day. It's absolutely gorgeous, just like I knew it would be. But I also, and I know I told you this, I did get Baby Vampire as my custom art piece, and I was super excited. It was one of my favorite backs in Zine Quest 3, and when I was talking about it, I was like, if I can get a custom piece of art from a creator that I love at this pledge level, that's an instant back for me. So if you have not picked up a copy of Vampire Cruise yet, you absolutely should.
When are we playing it on the channel?
I think soon. Maybe Amanda will come back and play with us because I want you to run it in Patchwork World just like we did with Garbage Barge.
You can find Garbage Barge on the channel.
Yeah, we have played Garbage Barge on the channel using Patchwork World. It was the first time we got Aaron to come on and run a game for us also too, and so I am always super excited, and I can't wait to go on a Vampire Cruise and then potentially on a Haunted Submarine ride at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
Awesome. If no one has any more questions, then it has been great to have everybody with us. Real quick, what's the order of things? This Friday, we've got another funeral party, which is a great place to go and pick up a physical copy of You Got a Job on a Garbage Barge if you don't have it yet. Is Exalted Funeral. It's the monthly web show we do that's sponsored by Exalted Funeral. I sat down with Jarrett Crater, their project manager, and we talk about all the latest and greatest things, the whispers of what's departed and the portents of what's to come over at Exalted Funeral. Also coming up on Monday, we are playing Autumn Triduum, which is a game of nuns at a small out-of-the-way convent over the course of All Hallows Eve, All Saints Day, and All Souls Day, fighting the emergent forces of evil that are coming out of the woodworks around their covenant. It is, again, one of my favorite games. It's not out in print anywhere, but I did convince the creator to come play it with us. That's Alexi Sargent of Cloven Pine Games. We're going to be doing that on Monday night. But it's one of my favorite games to run or play. So please come back and join us for that if you want to see that. If you're a recovering Catholic, there's a lot of deep inside cuts that'll do it. And if you're not, there's a lot of deep inside irreverence cuts that are also excellent in that game also too. So come back and play that with us if you get a chance, or watch us play that on Monday night. It'll be a blast. Also, but until next time, oh wait, no, I'm going to figure out how to raid. We should raid somebody. I always forget to raid people. I got to be better about that. We're going to
Dice Drinks and Drama is running
Dice
Vampire
Drinks
tonight.
and Drama. We're going to go. Oh, so TPK roleplay, but Dice Drinks and Drama is always so good about raiding us. We're going to raid them. I'm going to see if I can do this right. I'm going to click start raid. I think it's counting down now. All right, we're getting ready to raid. It's happening in 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I don't know how I do this. I'm going to hit raid now. Did we do it? I don't know. I think we did it, maybe. I don't know how any of it works.